This is Pastor Zoe. I trust all is well with you. It is another exciting time. That's right, the Ignite Chapel experience right here at Warner Pacific University. I'm so glad to be able to hang out, and today I'm excited about our chapel time, and I'm simply going to share this one thing, and it's simply this: pick it back up again. Oh, I don't have time to explain that, but come join us for the Ignite Chapel experience and find out more. God bless you. Come on, let's go. It's the Ignite Chapel experience right here at Warner Pacific University.
So, how have you been enjoying chapel lately? Or if you have anything to say, go ahead.
I've been enjoying it really nicely. It's been a great time.
Yeah, for sure. The praise and worship has always been good, and just learning just lessons every day and how to move with God in a daily life basis.
Okay. Any words for new students or anybody that are coming in, or any students that you could speak for next year?
You should definitely come to chapel and don't skip it. It'll make your whole entire week better. Every time you come, you just feel so refreshed after, and then you just have a great day afterwards.
I'll say it's like a no judgmental zone. Like, you're free to come. They're not forcing you to do anything, but just step out your comfort zone a little and just check it out.
Father, we come before you, Lord, just thanking you for your unending mercy, your unending love, the fact that you want a personal relationship with each and every single one of us here. Lord, today we ask that you open our minds, you open our hearts, you open our spirits to the things of your ways. As we proclaim your name above all names, we ask these things in Jesus Christ's precious name. Amen.
I was suicidal, and I did want to end my life, and going through high school, hearing all the things that people what people might be thinking about me made me timid and made me not want to go and do things that the Lord was asking me to, because I knew him. I grew up as a Christian and I knew him, but I was too afraid of what people might think, and I know that that's a common thing that I feel like a lot of us deal with, is being too afraid of what people think. To do anything, to do something that you actually really love to do, let alone do something that seems a little bit scary, like following the Lord, like going against the crowd. But I was very depressed and would be alone a lot of the time. I wouldn't do a lot of things with my friends. And it got really bad, but I decided that I wasn't going to go to college right away. I decided I was going to take a gap year, and I went and did a program called Youth with a Mission, and this is where I found the Lord. This is where I actually met him for who he is, and where I actually fell in love with him as a person and as the God, the one true living God. This is where I would worship, and it wouldn't be because I had to, because I went to a private school and we would do chapels like this, and I would go and I even led worship sometimes, but it felt like I had to do it. It got to a point where it wasn't where I had to do it anymore. I actually really loved it. But out of all of that, it wasn't because I wasn't doing it because I got anything from him. But you know what happened is I was worshiping him, and this may sound a little bit weird. It's not normal, or it's not something that we would see in the physical and think it's very normal. I fell on the ground, and I was crying, and I was weeping, and I was looking at God and his beauty. I was in his throne room looking at his beauty, and I wasn't thinking about myself, and yet I said over myself, I proclaimed out loud, I said, I do not have depression anymore. I do not have depression anymore, and you know what? Ever since that day, I got off of my medication. I am as happy as I've ever been, and I just mean that there are you. The Lord freed me from depression. He wants to free you from what you are walking in, whether that's depression or anxiety or just a little bit of fear of what people think. Because I wouldn't be up here if I had depression. I wouldn't be up here if I feared what people thought. Because each and every one of you can think I'm the weirdest person in the world, and that's totally fine. Because the Lord asked me to be here. The Lord asked me to share this, and His opinion is so much more important than anyone else's. His opinion is that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. His opinion is that you are a child of God. And so I tell you this to encourage you, that if you are kind of like, why would I follow this God? Why might I do that? Because He actually wants to free us from the things that are hurting us. He actually loves us as a Father, and He wants us to be free. So I tell us that to encourage us today. And
God bless you, Warren.
Another hand. Give them another hand. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. That was a great testimony, wasn't it? And the thing that I really love about what she said, you still have your ups and downs, but regardless, she had to pick herself up and allow God to help her. And that's kind of what I want to talk with you all today briefly about. And first and foremost, I'm glad to be back with you today. I missed y'all. Man, this feels like I've been gone for 2 months. It's only been a week. But I really missed y'all. And let's give Juju a hand in the chapel team. They did a great job, man. I got to see the video. That was awesome. But how many of you are familiar with Moses? 10 Commandments, the movie back in the day? Okay. Well, Moses was someone not just in the Bible, but a real person. And God used him to do a lot of things. And so I want to talk about some of the struggles he had, because I think a lot of us can actually identify with that. And so here in Exodus chapter 2, verses 11 through 15, it's talking about how Moses grew up and then he went to see his people. And so for those of you who don't know Moses, let me just not assume everybody knows. Moses was a Hebrew. And when he was born, during the time, there was a king who didn't like the Hebrews. And so he wanted to kill every single young male that was born, because he hated the whole race of people. So he was going out to kill all the newborns. And so Moses, his mom had him, and so she was afraid of what the king was going to do. And so what she did, she put Moses in a basket and let him float down the river. And as he was floating down the river, can you imagine? There's probably alligators in there and snakes and all sorts of things going on. But as she was going down the river, the Pharaoh was a king during this time. And so as he was floating down the river, guess what happens? The king's daughter sees a basket floating down and asks the people to go pick up the basket, go get it. So when they got it, they saw that it was a baby in there. It was Moses. And so during that time, she said, you know what? I'm going to keep this young man. There's something special about him. I can't put my fingers on it, but there's really something special about him, so I want to keep him. And so at this time, Moses' sister, her name is Miriam, she followed the basket all the way down the river. And when she saw that, she went to the king's daughter and said, I know somebody that can take care of him. And so she got her mom to literally take care of Moses. So her mom got paid from the palace to take care of her own child. Isn't that something? But I'm not talking about all that today, but I wanted to give you a background there. So here's Moses. He literally grows up in the palace. Okay? He's being educated by the best. He's growing up in the palace. He learns all the royal rules. He learns what royalty is all about. And he's learning all of these things. And then one day, there's something that's stirring up in Moses, because he always related with his people. Even though he was in a palace, he couldn't stand when his people was abused and misused and mistreated. And so one day he sees somebody misusing and abusing one of his brothers. And so the Bible tells us this. As Moses saw that, he looked around. Nobody's looking. And he kills the Egyptian. And he buries him in the sand, and he thinks nobody's looking. And so one day there's two of his brothers, Hebrew brothers, fighting and arguing, and he was like, listen, why are y'all arguing with each other? Stop it. And they said, what you gonna do, Moses? You gonna kill us like you did the Egyptian? And Moses got afraid. And so this is where we pick up. Pastor Zoe, what in the world does this have to do with me? I'm going to tell you in just a second here. Stick with me. Exodus chapter 2, verse 11 through 15 says, in the course of time, Moses grew up. He went to see his own people and watched them suffering under forced labor. He saw a Hebrew, one of his own people, being beaten by an Egyptian. He looked all around, and when he didn't see anyone, he beat the Egyptian to death and hid his body in the sand. When Moses went there the next day, he saw two Hebrew men fighting. He asked the one who started the fight, why are you beating another Hebrew? The man asked, who made you a ruler or a judge? Are you going to kill me as you killed the Egyptian? Then Moses was afraid and thought that everyone knew what he had done. And he ran. So now we're going to move to Exodus chapter 4. And it says this, the Lord said, throw it on the ground. What was that? It was a staff. Okay? And with this staff, something magical happened. When Moses threw the staff on the ground, see, there was a Pharaoh, the same king. He didn't want to let the Hebrews go. He didn't want to free the Hebrews. He didn't want them to experience freedom. And so Moses was assigned by the Lord to deliver his people. And he knew this earlier on as a young man, but he was misguided. Why? Because when he saw his brothers getting beat up, when he saw them being abused, he took everything upon himself and he killed the guy. He made a mistake. But when he made this mistake, the Bible says he ran. And this starts a pattern in Moses' life. When things got difficult, when he messed up, he would run. And in this verse that I'm reading you right now, God is using him to free his people the right way. Not to kill somebody, but to free them the right way. And what happens? God gives him a staff that he would use to deliver the people. And this staff, he threw it down right in front of the Pharaoh and in front of all the other magicians. And the staff turns into a snake. And the Bible tells us that when Moses saw it, he ran from it. How many people are afraid of snakes in here? Yeah, so you see a snake, what you doing? You're getting out of Dodge, right? You're leaving. You know, my sister, she doesn't like snakes either. So when we were younger, I know I'm dating myself here, but we used to have encyclopedias. We didn't have the internet like you do now. I'm turning into my parents right now. But anyway, we had encyclopedias. So I would chase my sister with the S encyclopedia. I open it up to where the snake was, and I would chase her around the house. She was that afraid of snakes. And so Moses was afraid of this snake. And so he ran from it. And this is what God asked him to do. Moses picked up the snake. So Moses is afraid. And he timidly picks up the snake. And the Bible tells us that the snake turned back into a staff. Anybody know what a staff is in here? What is a staff? No, it's not a knife. A staff is a stick. It's a big stick, a walking stick. That's what a staff is. And so Moses would use this staff. It was something that you could get it just anywhere. Just pick it up. And what I'm telling you today is God has given you a staff. Follow me here. God has given you a staff, and sometimes we don't think that the staff is valuable. Sometimes we don't think that it's powerful. Sometimes we don't think that what God has given us, that we can use it for the benefit for benefiting society, for being able to pass your classes, for you being able to do what needs to be done. And God has blessed each and every one of us with a staff. But here's Moses. He's afraid to pick up the staff. I want you to think, what is it in your life that you're afraid of? Is it something from your past? Did you make a mistake and you were ridiculed for it and people wouldn't let you live it down and you felt real bad about it and now you don't want to try again? How many of us can say we've been afraid to try again after we messed up? Yeah, if I could raise my feet, I'd do that too. But God wants you to pick it back up again. God asked Moses to pick up that staff. And when he picked it back up again, it turned back into a staff from a snake. And I'm here to tell you, when you don't quit, you open up your life for miracles. When you don't quit, you open up your life for opportunity. When you don't quit, you open up yourself for victory. When you don't quit, you open up yourself for an opportunity for success. You open yourself back up to an opportunity to win again, for restoration, to get back up, to bounce back up from your past mistake, to bounce back up from that abuse in your childhood, to bounce back up from not doing what was supposed to be done. But you are blessed with breath in your lungs. Take a deep breath. That very breath tells you you have an opportunity to get back up again. Pastor Zoe, what are you saying? There is a comeback for your setback. Everybody repeat after me. There's a comeback for my setback. I don't want you to allow mistakes to hold you back. I don't want you to allow sin that was in your life to hold you back. I don't want you to allow all these misgivings of the past to hold you back, because it's important that we learn from our mistakes. We learn from the past, but we don't live in the past. How many athletes we got in here? How many basketball players we got? I'm pretty sure some point in time in your life, your coach says you have to have a what? Short what? You gotta have a short memory. You can't think about the last three-point shot you missed. You can't think about that goal that you missed. You can't think about that spike that was so easy and a layup for you and you missed it. You have to have a short memory. You need to learn from it, but you can't live in the past, because if you do, you'll be riding a bench for the rest of your career. Am I right? If you don't have confidence that I'm the best athlete here, even if you're not, but you have to think that way. Why? Because you have to say, when I fall down, I'm getting back up. I know I messed up, but I'm going to do better the next time. Why? Because I learned from the past, but I don't live in the past. That's what I'm asking you to do on today. And as you do that, what you're going to see is that you're going to see great victories in your life. You're going to see so many great things in your life. And I don't know how many of you remember Moses when he stretched out the what? What were we talking about? What did he stretch out? What did he stretch out? There's the army behind them. Pharaoh finally freed them and were like, oh no, we can't let y'all go. I made a mistake. We're going to come and get you. And so I can see all the dust coming up behind the wheels. And it was like, oh my goodness. But guess what? God told them to stretch out your staff. And it says the Red Sea parted. And I'm here to tell you, God has blessed you with a gift, a talent, ability, that is your staff. And I want you to take your staff and I want you to stretch it out. Everybody go like this. That's right. Stretch it out. When you stretch out that staff, you stretch out your faith, that Red Sea that's on the front of you is going to part. Why? Because you didn't quit and you're allowing God to have the glory in your life. And so I'm going to end with this. There's a song that's called Goodbye Fear. Everybody say goodbye fear. Say it like you mean, goodbye fear. And it goes like this. The part of it says this: fear is not my future. You are. Sickness is not my story. You are. Heartbreaks is not my home. You are. Death is not the end. You are. Hello, peace. Hello, joy. Hello, love. Hello, strength. Hello, hope. It's a new horizon. Repeat after me. Hello, joy. Hello, peace. Hello, love. Hello, strength. Hello, hope. It's a new horizon. If you want a new season, if you want to turn around in your life, don't live in your past, but learn from your past. And when that happens, when you pick that staff back up that you're afraid of, you're going to see miracles. You're going to see victories because you are an overcomer. And that's why the theme for this year is what? Is what? Is what? Come on, I need everybody. What is it? What is it? I need you to believe that, because faith without works is dead. So when you go to that class that you may be struggling with right now, you tell yourself it's showtime. When you're on the court and you don't want to go anymore, you have to tell yourself it's showtime. When you're on the volleyball court and you don't feel like pushing anymore, tell yourself it's showtime. When you're on the soccer field and you feel like you can't go anymore, tell yourself it's showtime. Because God has placed something on the inside of you that if you grasp it, nobody can take it away. No lie, nobody telling you you're not good enough, that you can't do it. Why? Because now I believe that I have what it takes on the inside of me. It's showtime. Let's bow your heads.
Lord, I just want to thank you for this moment, Lord. Thank you, Lord, for just waking everyone up today, Lord, from the students to the staff to the visitors, Lord, and the ministry team, Lord. We ask that you bless us throughout the week, Lord. We ask that you help us, give us the knowledge and the strength to push through whatever we may be going through behind closed doors. Lord, I ask that you answer prayers. Even if it's not prayers, Lord, if we're just speaking to you, Lord, I ask that you answer it for them, Lord. Lord, I ask that you bless people's families, those that may be here, that may be offline, or wherever they are, Lord, I ask that you bless them. Lord, I ask that your traveling mercy upon everyone as they leave this facility as well, Lord. We love you and thank you in Jesus' name.